Hey. Just wait. Just wait. I know you don't want to hear that right now, but just wait. It hit different when you wait on it. It lasts a whole lot longer when you wait on it. Trust me. I know somebody needed to hear that today, so you're welcome.
Hello everyone, this is Emmanuel Cook. We will be reacting to a new video today, so make sure you guys like, comment, and subscribe down below, and let's get into the video.
One lesson that I believe everybody should learn is the value of delayed gratification. I find that our society currently is really geared towards the idea of immediate satisfaction, and while it often may feel good in the moment to have whatever it is you're looking to have satisfied, it ultimately leaves you dissatisfied in the long term. It's not sustainable, and you end up right back at square one most of the time. I find also that this culture of immediate satisfaction oftentimes leads people to quitting things that they're trying to do because they're not seeing results right away, which ultimately leads again to more dissatisfaction and pushing you right back to where you were before you started. Learning to hold things out for the long haul and consistently show up and put effort into them might be the most valuable thing you ever learn to do in your life. Beyond that, it's also an exercise in strength, and it grows you and it teaches you that value of the results of what you're trying to achieve. Of course, there's nuance to this. Sometimes you just gotta eat the fucking ice cream or drink the fucking mimosa or whatever it is, you know? But 9 times out of 10, you should be choosing delayed gratification because instant satisfaction kind of becomes a pattern with a lot of people and then ultimately leads you to never receiving the results that you want. And again, being back where you started, if not worse off than before. Nothing worth having in life will ever come easy, and immediate satisfaction will ultimately always lead to dissatisfaction if that's what you're choosing every single time. So that's the word I'll leave you with today. Happy Sunday, guys.
I think the reason we struggle so hard with delayed gratification is because it feels like punishment. Why am I working so hard and there's no immediate result? But discipline is about remembering what you want the most, not what you want right now. So we need to prioritize regulating ourselves so that delayed gratification actually feels like the reward, not a punishment.
Here's why I think that everyone can learn something from going to the gym or focusing on like health, fitness, nutrition, because it's learning to coexist and get used to delayed gratification. So delayed gratification is you're gonna go to the gym every single day for a week, 2 weeks, a month, 3 months, and you're gonna look in the mirror and you're not gonna see any progress or any difference at all. But then you're gonna get to 5 or 6 months and you're gonna look in the mirror and be like, holy shit, like, boom, it hit me. So when you can learn to kind of coexist and get used to delayed gratification, not only within health and fitness and going to the gym, it bleeds over to so many other places in your life. Delayed gratification in your work, in your career, in your relationships, making sure you're still going that extra mile every single day, even if you're not seeing a difference within that moment or that day. As long as you keep going and keep putting in the work, regardless of how you feel, regardless of results you're not seeing, there's gonna be an instant where you look in the mirror, you look in your life where all that progress and all that work that you put in is gonna show up in a blink of an eye within those months that you put in. It may not be the first few months, when it may be boom, that 5 or 6 month mark where you're like, holy shit, I did make progress. And all those months back, even though I didn't want to do what I want or needed to do, all that progress and all that work mattered.
Delayed gratification. What does that even mean? No one knows what it means, but it's provocative. Hi, my name is Indra, and on this channel we talk about books that help us understand ourselves better and improve our daily lives as a result of that. In my last video, I started talking about Anna Lemke's dopamination, and I explained the pleasure-pain balance. Now, there is a way for us to leverage the pleasure-pain balance, and that is delayed gratification, meaning that we can hack our brain to experience longer phases of pleasure. How can we do that? Well, we need to expose ourselves to phases of pain. That sounds more dramatic than it is because that can literally mean you're going to do a workout. Most typical ways to expose ourselves to pain or to be doing a workout, so physical activity, doing chores that we don't want to do, teach yourselves a new skill, or even taking a cold shower. That way, what we're doing is we're deliberately flipping the scale basically of pleasure and pain to the side of pain. But because our brains, and this is where the pleasure-pain balance comes in, because our brains always want to strike a balance between pleasure and pain, our brain will, as a response, flip the scale back to pleasure. That means after performing a difficult task, we will naturally experience a phase of pleasure. Like, we'll feel really happy, like that feeling after a workout. It's like, oh my god, yes, like I did it. So if we want to create a longer lasting feeling of happiness, that's what we need to do. We need to be uncomfortable first. In my next video, I'm going to talk about how we can leverage delayed gratification to become more productive and more resilient.
In the 1960s, there was a really cool study where researchers put toddlers down in front of a marshmallow and said, if you don't eat this marshmallow, then when I come back, you can have 2 marshmallows. They would then leave, and when they came back, if the toddler waited, they would get the second marshmallow, and if they didn't, then oh well. Over the next 40 years, there were several follow-up studies, and what they found is that the children that were able to delay gratification and wait for that second marshmallow, they had less likelihood of substance abuse, they had higher SAT scores. According to their parents, they had less of a stress response and just generally scored higher in all kinds of markers. Before you get too concerned that self-discipline is an inherent or intrinsic trait, though, there was a follow-up study, not a follow-up study, but a duplication done several years later with an important caveat, which is that before the marshmallow test was done, the children were set up. So like a researcher would say, take the crayons away and say, oh, I'll be right back with a bigger box. And then they would never return with a bigger box. The children that experienced that broken promise were less likely to wait for that second marshmallow. This tells us that our experiences can condition our ability or willingness to be inherently self-disciplined. This doesn't mean that all hope is lost, though. Literally anyone can learn self-discipline, and once you learn self-discipline, you can practice delayed gratification. Much like a muscle, self-discipline needs things like repetition, progressive overload, and rest in order to grow. One of the ways that you can do that is by starting incredibly small. Make it impossible for yourself to lose. Improve one thing by 1% and then try doing it again tomorrow. This stuff's crap. I don't even like it.
Can someone older than me please tell me when the right time to stop delaying gratification and start buying some things that treat you is the right time? For example, the things I like, I've always wanted a manual car, like maybe a Z06 Corvette, or maybe a lower end Lambo, or a nice Porsche, something that would really just give me a lot of fun to drive on a weekly basis. But the thing about like the Corvette or something, it's just so much money down, and you're probably going to be tied to about $1,000 or $1,200 payment. So what is the point when younger kids should stop delaying that gratification and start allowing themselves to splurge on things like that? I would love to hear some advice for someone older than me, because I've thought about doing it a couple times. I've looked at cars, I've looked at this, and it's just like I always felt like I could just put more money in Bitcoin or more money in stocks, especially at the age of 26 that I am now, and it would just be better. I think a good spot, if I was to say right now, is by 30, which is in about 3 years for me, I could go buy a manual sports car to have in addition to my truck. I think that would be a really good compromise. Let me know what you think. I would love some advice on this. It's kind of hard to find resources on that. So if you're in your 20s, maybe let's see what the guys in the comments say. If you're in your 30s, we'd love to hear from you. If you're in your 40s or 50s and have made it through this, I'd love to hear your perspective on when we should treat ourselves instead of delaying gratification so much.
This is an amazing question. When you have goals and dreams, it is a lot to just not treat yourself for years until you hit your goals, right? So when should you treat yourself? You should have milestones. And every time you hit those milestones, you get a treat. You treat yourself. Not much, but a little bit. You treat yourself just enough to keep on going. Let's say you want to lose 100 pounds, right? Every 10 pounds that you lose, you treat yourself just a little bit, just so that it can encourage you to continue to move forward, continue to push.
When I talk about delayed gratification, most people attribute it to skipping out on the party, skipping out on the weekends, skipping out on the traveling. And that's cool. That's a part of it. But that's not the whole thing, because you can do all that. Skip out on the party, skip out on the weekends, and still not get shit done. You can still not embody the whole concept of delaying gratification. If I skip out on the parties, but I'm still impatient, I'm still trying to rush, and I want everything to happen now, I want to strangle the universe and say, give me that thing that I've been wanting so bad, you still won't become successful. You won't reap the benefits of true delayed gratification. You just living a boring life. You're not experiencing anything. So that is not the whole concept of delayed gratification. Look at it like planting a garden. If you plant some seeds in some soil, you have to go ahead and water it every day. It has to get sunlight. And it's going to be boring as hell watering it every day. And you might get tired of it sometimes. But you know that these are the actions you need to take to actually see your garden come to life. And although those actions may be boring, and yes, you want to see your garden come to life tomorrow, you understand that if you just continue to take these actions over time, you will see your garden come to life. You just need time to pass. And that's the true essence of delayed gratification, not just living a boring life. You can still do those things. You can still travel, go out, have fun, live your life, get these experiences. But when it comes to actually doing the thing that you're looking to build, to actually see the success that you want in your life, to reach that financial freedom or status that you want to reach in your life, learning the actions that you can take, doing them even when you don't feel like it sometimes and they are boring and you do want that thing, you want to strangle the universe and say, give it to me right now. It's understanding that if I do these things, I just need time to pass, and it's going to pass anyway, so I will get that thing.
Here is how to handle the art of delaying gratification for long-term success. Delaying gratification means choosing long-term gains over short-term gains. When tempted, remind yourself, what is your bigger goal? In this day and age, you are not alone in feeling that pull of instant gratification, but wish for it to come slow, not fast, because you need to become the person worthy of that success or of that goal. Real success takes time. Stay patient and watch your hard work pay off.
When we delay self-gratification, you're basically investing in the universe, in spirit. Do you know how much that accumulates over time? I believe as us humans, we create our own luck. And the more that you delay self-gratification, the bigger the rewards, the bigger the unexpected changes are gonna happen in your life. You know, what you put out, you get in return. So the more you delay self-gratification, just imagine that. Imagine when you become a little older and things really start to fall into place. Delay self-gratification. You will thank yourself.
I believe that the reason why 99% of people fail on their weight loss journeys before actually losing the weight is because they don't understand that weight loss is essentially just delayed gratification. But the thing is, you can't beat the science of your body. If you do all of the things to help your body can't help but listen to the things you're making it do. When I started my weight loss journey, do you think that I actually believed in myself? Do you think that I actually thought I was gonna lose the weight? Hell no. I just checked my weight right now because I've been working hard for the past 2 weeks and I was already starting to give up on myself. I was thinking maybe I just won't lose any more weight. Maybe it's just not meant for me. I started getting in my steps. I started, eating less portions. I was down 3 pounds in less than 2 weeks. And it was when I didn't even expect it. When I stepped on the scale, I didn't think I was gonna lose any sort of weight. If you stay on that calorie deficit, you go on that walk, you portion out your food, you drink your water, you eat your protein, your body has to lose the weight. You have to give it time to do that.
A quick reminder, please remember to like, comment, and subscribe down below, and let's continue the video.
Let's talk about delayed gratification. In response to my videos on success, career choices, and happiness in life, many of you have made the following comment. I don't need to be happy when I'm young. I just want to work hard now, make a lot of money, and retire very, very early. Isn't that a good plan? That's the plan that a lot of people follow in life, especially people who have a lot of student loans or work in some high-pressure environment. And if that works for you, great. But over the course of my life, I have witnessed a few pitfalls experienced by those who pursued that plan. People who follow that kind of a plan still want some sort of a social life. And any relationship takes time. Even if you're happy with a string of one-night stands, you're still going to need a night free every once in a while to find those one-night stands. And all-consuming jobs can be literally all-consuming. And if you want more than a one-night stand, like an actual relationship with someone who might want to marry you, good luck. Those relationships take even more time. And if you want to get married and eventually have some kids, well, you're going to have to figure out some conflicting priorities. Even if you find a spouse who's content to be the stay-at-home parent and who doesn't need a lot of your attention and who is basically blessed with the patience of Job, a family also means children. And even if you assume that those children will be the best children on the planet, those children grow up. So this plan of work hard, play later may mean that you are not present for your children's childhood. That is probably the most common problem that I have seen with this plan of delayed gratification. It only works if you're okay with the idea of being an absentee parent. Other common pitfalls with the plan of delayed gratification, regardless of how ambitious you are, regardless of how stable your employment is, regardless of all of those factors that you can sort of control, there will always be unforeseen economic catastrophe. A divorce will take away half of everything you ever make. An economic meltdown could melt down everything you've ever made. And I don't think we've seen the last pandemic, and we all know what that has done economically. Basically, money is difficult to make, but it's easy to lose. And people often lose money for reasons that are entirely beyond their control. Finally, the biggest problem with the plan of delayed gratification is that you are mortal. Yes, as a young person, you don't think you're going to die. And if you think about death, you think you'll live until you're 80 or 90 years old. But as a person in their mid-50s, I've seen a lot of people die way before they got old. So working hard now doesn't necessarily mean that you'll be able to play hard later. A lot of people spend their whole lives working hard and die young. So the plan of delayed gratification has its advantages, but there are disadvantages as well.
When you're on a debt-free journey, one of the things that's going to help you the most is learning to delay your gratification. We live in a world where we can have things literally right away at the fucking touch of a button. You learn how to delay gratification and you actually planned and like sit on something that you want. Listen, this is not a debt-free page that's going to be like, only needs. No, listen, what you need to cater to your wants sometimes. You're only living once, but learning to delay gratification and actually planning for these purchases, sometimes honestly you're gonna be like, actually no, I don't really want that because it's gonna set me off my timeline this amount of time, or it's gonna take me this amount of time to save for it. Do I really want it, or am I just being bombarded with it? I don't know, just overall delaying gratification and sitting on something you want makes you realize you don't really want it as much as you thought you do.
If I could go back in time and tell myself this 5 years ago, I would. Because one of the biggest lessons you will learn in life is that everything takes time. It is as simple as that, but you won't realize it until you actually go through some things yourself in life. Delayed gratification. As soon as something comes way too quickly to you, it becomes more like a drug. You want it sooner. If you delay your gratification, you delay the result and just put in the work, whether that is your career, a business, something you're passionate about, even your relationship, you will see the benefits of it years or months down the line, whatever the timeline is, instead of trying to get everything so quickly. This right here, get started. Don't worry about the clock. Don't worry about the timeline. It'll all come naturally if you just put in that work.
Delay instant gratification. This means that the thing that I want today, I have to ask myself, is what I want today going to get me closer to who I want to be and what I want tomorrow? Like, am I choosing something that is going to satisfy me right now, but I'm going to have to sustain it later, or I'm going to have to pay for it now? Is this 3 minutes or this 5 minutes of pleasure, for whatever this pleasure is in this moment, is it worth what it's going to cost me in my future, right? Am I trying to do an instant gratification to delay or to numb what I really don't want to talk about, or what I really don't want to think about, or what I really don't want to actually deal with, right? So when you're doing something that's instant gratification, if I say yes to this, I have to be saying no to something else. So if I say yes to whatever this is that I want today, is this going to put me further away from where I want to be, right? Because if that's the truth, then this yes is worth too much. It costs too much. So if you can do anything that delays your instant gratification in order to get you to your long-term goal or your long-term vision of who you want to be, I will say that this temporary pleasure is not worth the setback that it's going to cost you in getting to your goals. I hope that helps. Follow for more. Meet me in the comments.
Honestly, I feel very out of the loop. Like, my social life is non-existent. And I'm okay with that, but sometimes it does get to me, and sometimes I'm like, man, I want to be outside. But y'all gotta understand, I'm creating a life that I don't need a vacation from, and that requires all my attention and time, because I'm right there. Like, I'm right there. I can see it. I can feel it. It's right there. And it's all gonna be worth it. But yeah, I had to sacrifice my social life. I had to sacrifice. A lot of y'all really only see me online because I'm just in my hustle. I'm in my grind. I'm in my creation journey. And I know you're gonna say, oh, well, you can take time for yourself and life is about balance. Yes, but I'd be lying to you if I said I'm not an extremist. I will stay in the house for 2 years straight to master my craft and my goal, and then I'll go outside every day for the next 10 years. Like, I'm an extremist. I'm not gonna lie. Like, I have to find that perfect balance in my life. But for all of you that feel like stuck, or for all of you that feel like you're missing out, it's okay. I feel like that a lot. I feel like I need to be outside, but I need me more. Like, I need everything that I dream of and can't stop thinking of, and I need the life that I see before me. So I need that more than having fun, right? So I
I had to sacrifice my social life, and I'm okay with it because, again, I'm creating a life that I don't need a vacation from, and sometime very soon, I will be social for the rest of my life and not have to take a break.
Guys, when you are working, you hardly have time to just be outside like that. You don't have time to spend a lot of time with other people. And that is totally fine. There are stages in your life where you have goals to reach. And it's fine to not spend as much time with other people. Once you're in that mode of just grinding, zoning in, and being locked in, being and staying laser beam focused is one of the most important things that you can do. That is the best way to reach your goals. Focus on very few things and actually hit targets back after back after back.
Once you get past the reality of delayed gratification, you're going to feel so much better at going after anything you want in life. I think that one of the things we really underestimate is just how much work it takes to follow your dreams. Whether that's getting a degree, or whether that's starting a business, or whether that's just not wanting to work anymore, everything takes work. And I don't know where this narrative came into play, especially on the internet, about how things don't take time or that anything can happen overnight. It doesn't. And the people that you see that are reaping success, or you see that are living their dream lives, or you see people that have accomplished something really big that you admire, there was a time where they sucked at that thing. There was a time when they were broke. There was a time when they were staying up late. There was a time where they were waking up early. There was a time that they were exhausted and tired and nobody understood what the hell they were doing. But then when you see the success, everyone's like, oh my gosh, it happened so fast. But that's the part that people don't see. So before you judge, or before you think that I'm going to embark on a journey of following my dreams and it's going to be easy, anything that is worth having and anything that is worth working for takes time and dedication and effort. Even if you're going to be working smarter, not harder, you still have to work hard towards something. You can complain about it and cry about it and say that it's going to be hard. But once you get over that, and once you get over the fact that it is going to take a long time, then you can actually get over yourself and actually start enjoying the process of things.
So, delayed gratification. I've seen a lot of videos on here about buying something and then putting it aside, not using it right away. It's supposed to put some distance between you wanting something and you getting what you want. And I'm here to say, I don't think it's going to work. Not if you have a shopping problem. Because when you are an overspender, when you shop compulsively, part of the thrill you get is from buying the item. You don't just like to own pretty things, use pretty things, you like to acquire pretty things. So you're not actually delaying your gratification because it was the swipe of the credit card, it was the clicking of the PayPal button that released all those endorphins into you. That's why you can buy something and by the time it arrives in the mail, you're already over it. You're no longer that excited for it. This is true even if when your items come, you are really excited about them, because you will be excited about the next purchase and the next purchase and the next purchase. Rather than reducing your spending, you will simply build up a treasure trove of little items to open later. So you may have waited 1 month to open an item, but you could also have a backlog of 3, 7, 10 items that you still bought, you just haven't opened yet. So there are other avenues you have to take, some of which I'm exploring with reading, some of which I'm exploring with therapy, in order to curb your spending. Because the delayed gratification piece, while it may work for some people, it's not going to work for you.
What's up, y'all? Happy Tuesday. I was talking to somebody and I've been thinking about this for a while myself. Would you be willing to do whatever you're doing, your purpose, your passion, what you believe your calling is, for 15, 20, 30 years with no applause, no good job, no encouragement, no you're doing the right thing, nothing like that? Would you be willing to do that for a lengthy amount of time for no gratification or limited gratification, right? I feel like now we live in a day and age where it's instant gratification, delayed gratification, right? And personally, I think delayed gratification is a little bit better. I love, and I think a lot of us love, instant gratification and feeling good in the moment. But I want you all to think about that and sit with that on this Tuesday. Have a great Tuesday.
Delayed gratification is an interesting lesson to learn because, when we're younger, a lot of gratification is instant. You do something to get something. But a lot of adulthood is that slow burn, is waiting for the good choices you're making right now to pay off for you in several ways, or even just one way. So don't give up on yourself. Don't lose sight of what you're doing it for. As they say, don't forget your why, because if you do, then you're going to feel like you've wasted your time. Or, what was I doing that for? When in the beginning, you knew why you were doing it. So don't let the bumps in the road slow you down. You learn a lot about yourself when it comes to delayed gratification. It helps you look at, what are you really focused on? Why are you doing it? Because everything ain't fun. It ain't gonna always feel good. Shit is hard sometimes. Like, man. So, yeah. Keep going. You got this. You were built for it. That's why you can't stop thinking about it. It's not that you have all the answers, but it is your calling. And the more you tend to it, the more you'll figure out.
Weight loss is all about delayed gratification. You are not going to see results overnight. You're not going to see results in a week. Sometimes you're not going to see results sometimes in the first month. But that doesn't mean that results and change aren't happening. Long-term sustainable weight loss takes months and months and months. It takes lifestyle changes, it takes routine changes, it takes diet changes, it takes mindset changes. It is not something that you can just do overnight. But you will get there in the end if that is your goal, and that is where the delayed gratification comes in. It is hard at the time. It is a struggle. It is not easy. There are going to be ups and downs. There are going to be backs and forths. There are going to be times you fall off and get back on, but you will get to that result if you stick to it. So every day you are struggling or you're thinking you're not seeing results, please remember that it is delayed gratification. Please remember that that doesn't mean that changes aren't happening. It just happens slowly. It takes time. If you wake up one day and you're a kilo heavier on the scale, that does not mean that you have gained a kilo of fat. There are so many factors that go into that. Water retention, how much salt you've ingested, how much food you've had, so many different reasons. You are not going to gain a kilo of fat overnight. So just remember that there is an end in sight. There is a goal and you can achieve it if you just stick to it. Just remember that delayed gratification. Just remember that it is not going to happen overnight, and it is okay. If you are doing everything correctly and you are doing things the way that you know you need to do them, you will get there.
Listen, that cookie ain't going nowhere. That restaurant ain't going nowhere. That cheat meal ain't going nowhere. That snacks, the bag of hot Cheetos, the whatever you eat. I said hot Cheetos because I used to eat my fair share of hot Cheetos. It ain't going nowhere. You're going to be able to find it tomorrow. You're going to be able to find that pastry next week, a year from now. Why don't you just set it aside and don't give in to instant gratification? Because those snacks, that food, that couch, that bed rot, whatever you want to call it, it's not going anywhere. You can always do that later. Think of yourself in the future and ask yourself, am I happy that I gave into this at this very moment? Think about 6 months from now, a year from now. Don't do it. I also just realized that I do enjoy going to the gym, and I don't just do it for weight loss, because I'm still taking myself to the gym even though I'm down literally 10 pounds in 10 days. And I'm still like, no, I need to get myself to the gym. So I just mix my little electrolytes in here. I might have a little snack. I might have some beef or a little bit of bacon before I go to the gym. Still on carnivore, going strong. I feel amazing. I will share this though. I had a bacon and eggs earlier this morning at a marketing meeting. I had a breakfast marketing meeting. And of course I wasn't going to eat, but then I was like, you know what? Let me go ahead and order bacon and eggs since it's on the menu. I can eat this on carnivore. And that way I can just be like eating with everybody. And I'm not the person that's like not eating. Literally, I felt so different because they weren't the eggs and bacon that I cook in grass-fed butter. And I felt a little bloated. It went away, but earlier I felt a little bloated and I felt kind of off. And I figured it probably had to do with maybe they cooked it in oil or something, like the eggs. And I should have asked them for butter. I don't know for sure. It might just be like in my head, but I know that I felt a difference. And all I want to do is come home and cook my own food. So that's my little update. Down 10 pounds in 10 days. I'll keep you up with my shenanigans.
We need to talk about something called delayed gratification. I teach 4th grade, and something that I've seen with a lot of my students is that they don't have the patience to wait for a reward. They need the instant gratification rather than being able to wait for a reward to come. I have talked to counselors, I've talked to parents about this, and a lot of them agree with me that they need to be able to delay, that the name delayed gratification, they need to have that patience, and it's very important. And here's something to help you identify it. This is the marshmallow experiment. You don't need a marshmallow with this, but it basically tells you how well a child can currently have delayed gratification compared to instant gratification. If you're wondering, why are you wearing a suit? Not important. Let me explain how this experiment works. So basically what you need to do is that you get a kid, you give them a marshmallow. It doesn't have to be a marshmallow, anything that they like, chocolate, candy, whatever. You give it to them and you say, you can have this now, or you can wait 5 minutes and you can get 2 of them. And you can see what the kid does in response. Sometimes they'll just sit there, they'll stare at it. Other times they'll try to like distract themselves, maybe not look at it. And if they wait the 5 minutes, they can get 2. That shows that they already have a basic understanding of delayed gratification. If they immediately go for it, that shows that they're more impulsive. What is important is what you do with this data. Now you might be thinking, why are you wearing a different suit? Not important. Focus. That's what is. Now, quick little caveat. This is better for the younger a kid is. So if they're like 4 to 6 years old, I'd say this was a good one. You can do it with older kids, but if you're going to do it with someone who's like 12, 13 years old, I would suggest switching out the stimulus. So instead of a marshmallow, maybe something that they're more akin to, like something they like more personally, and also adjusting the time. So rather than like 5 minutes, maybe do it a bit longer, like, I don't know, like 10, 15. But very important to note, do not go back on the rules. You said you can get 1, have it now. That's it. Wait 5 minutes, you can have 2. If the kid picks it before the 5 minutes, and remember, it has to be at your set time limit, you cannot give them another one just because you feel bad. That's very important because then that ruins the entire experiment. Why? Because this is supposed to show if they have a sense of delayed gratification, and this is something that can help you see if they have learned it. If you just give it to them anyways, they're not going to learn anything. They're just going to be like, oh, I can just have it now, and they'll just give me one anyway. That's not going to help anybody. Now, let's learn from the results of this experiment. The first thing you're probably thinking, where'd you get the awesome Shervani? Firstly, props to knowing where Shervani is. Secondly, focus. So the results from this are essentially going to yield how long it took for the child to go for the stimulus, whether they did or not, and what the kid did in order to avoid the stimulus to try and get to the second one. So if the kid decided to actually wait the 5 minutes, oftentimes they try to either distract themselves, maybe they would leave the room, maybe they would just not look at it, maybe they would try to distract themselves. And also, very important that I forgot to mention, it works best if you leave the room but keep the timer on, because if you're there, that will definitely influence what they're about to do, because they're probably going to wait more if an adult is in there in the room with them, versus you want to see how well they do this on their own. So just leave the room for like 5 minutes, then see what they do, then come back after the fact. Now if the kid didn't take it, great, they have a basic understanding, but just because they have a basic understanding of it doesn't mean you will leave it there. This is something you want to reinforce with them. Now, on the other hand, if the kid does take it, that's something you can learn from. I've seen a lot of people try to explain this video and say that, oh, we've tracked like the percentage of like how many kids actually, took the first marshmallow versus waiting for the second one, and the people who waited got way more successful in life. There's something that I have that is clearly not expanded upon with that, and it's the fact that this is one test, and you cannot use one test to gauge how a person is going to live their entire life. One moment of impulsivity is not going to determine whether or not you make the same decision over and over and over again. It is how you learn from the results of said test and how it is administered as you move forward in life. As the parent, you can see this and be like, oh, okay, we can work on trying to have some delayed gratification. That's something that you can try and work with. That is something that you, even if your kid did take the marshmallow or didn't take the marshmallow the first time, it's still something that you can try and reinforce. That reinforcement is what's important. In my class, I will have a sort of like point system, and I'm like, at the end of the day, depending on how much you have or how well you did, you can get a reward from the treasure box at the end of the day. If you did not meet it, you don't get it. And that's your gratification there, because it works, because I'll have students who, for the most part, by the way, this is not like an overnight change that's going to happen. I had to implement, this has had to be implemented over the course of a few days. It's not going to work overnight, but it's that consistency that keeps them okay, you'll see that growth gradually as you go along, because they'll still be the same way, for for the first few days, but then they'll start to come around. Some will do it faster than others, but you have to keep up that consistency, because that's something that a lot of kids lack, especially when it comes to when they're coming here from like at home. They don't have the same consistency at home as they do in school, which is why it's important to keep that going with them. Because if you just break it all of a sudden, like giving them the reward even though they didn't meet the time limit, that's not going to set a good example, because you're just saying, oh, you'll get rewarded no matter what. So it's very important that they still focus on their objective, and that was the point of all these changes. Now I'm gonna like really nice corta, because there is focus on what I'm saying versus what is going on around you, and that's another like aspect of this. But in all seriousness, I do hope that you actually take this information and try to utilize it, at least, because I do feel like understanding what delayed gratification is, and it's just patience, understanding that a bigger reward or something, or not even a bigger reward, oftentimes it's just going to be better to wait just a bit before just jumping headlong into something, because patience is a virtue. Very important saying, and I feel like a lot of people need to hear it more and actually utilize it rather than just saying it and being done with it. But also, in all seriousness, the actual reason why I was had a bunch of clothes changes is because I've been cleaning out my closet and trying to see what fits. But the focus thing still applies.
Man, kids are the most impatient people on this planet. They want things now. They want to play now. They want to eat now. They want everything now. And the kids who learn how to be patient are the ones who will be super successful in the future, because they will work hard and not expect things to be handed to them or expect things to be really easy and to get the reward now. They will get the reward in a couple years' time. Those ones who have the patience to wait, those ones are the ones that will be very successful in the future. I appreciate you guys watching the video today. Please make sure to like, comment, and subscribe down below, and I'll see you guys in the next video.